Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's album review. Brett doesn't have a clue what today's album is. It's been requested by one of you. So I'm going to share the screen and we'll have a look at the comment first of all, as we leave Brett in suspense. So, his face. Look at his face. He doesn't know what's coming. Right, here we go. So, here we go. Brett, you want to read that? I'll read it. You guys should definitely review Epica Amiga, different subgenre of metal, symphonic metal. This genre of metal has everything you wanted. I really think this metal genre is more your style. You have no idea what you're missing. Well, we're going to find out what we've been missing for all these years very shortly. So, there you have it. Okay, we listen to some more metal. What's your first thoughts on that?
Yeah, the metal part, we know, probably not the biggest part, but the symphonic bit could be quite interesting. So I've enjoyed that sort of elements from the previous album. Listen, I trust the comments. It's got to know us a little bit and see different. Yeah, trust the comment. So again, I'm not going to put expectations really high or really low. It'll just be sort of absolutely neutral. And hopefully, yeah, it does have a good end. And hopefully, like I said, even I have to say everything, even if there's ends up being like just one or two tracks from a particular album, enjoy it. To me, it's kind of worth it.
I'm hoping the kind of sound of it is going to be more prevalent than the voices, if you see what I mean, or at least in some of the tracks.
Yeah,
kind of like how the last one was to a degree. I want to show you now as well the Wikipedia page that I found. So yeah, Amiga Epica album is the 8th studio album by the Dutch symphonic metal band Epica. It's a new album as well, actually, released this year. So yeah, it's classed as symphonic metal. It's a long album though, it's 70 minutes long. So if we don't like it, if we hate it, then it could be a bit of a problem. You know, the stuff we can read here if we wanted to find out a little bit more about it. But only gave it an 8 out of 10, this album. I suppose not too bad. And 4 out of 5 from Kerrang. So the track listing, let's have a look. The first track is very short, I guess like an introduction, 1 minute 38. I don't know what's going on with track 8. It's 13 minutes 24 seconds long, and there's kind of different parts to it. Kingdom of Heaven Part 3, and I can't read that word, something universe. Track number 12 is also 7 minutes 6 seconds long. It's also got 3 parts to it. So total length 70 minutes 16 seconds. We're not going to listen to disc 2, which has an extra 17 minutes. Although that a cappella sounds interesting, track 1, but I think we won't go that far as it's already a long enough album as it is. So Brett, has that changed your opinion or anything? Are you looking forward to it more now or less?
It hasn't changed any opinions at all. Again, I quite like something a bit different, actually having different chapters almost of the song. There is quite interesting to have the main song and then different parts of it that long. So that does intrigue me, but I would say it wouldn't change the opinion of what I'm going to be feeling for the album. But yeah, listen, we'll have a listen and see what we think.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, like I was dreading that previous metal album. You know, never listened to a metal album before. I had a very bad association with heavy metal, just something that totally wasn't mine. But because the subgenre, what was it that we had last time? Melodic.
Melodic. Yeah.
So what's this one? Is this the same? Is something along those same sort of lines? Yeah.
I think it's on the same sort of symphonic.
Yeah. So because of that, and because I didn't actually I didn't hate that previous one we listened to. I'm just kind of treating it as another album kind of thing. I'm not kind of thinking, oh no, it's metal, I'm going to hate it. So I wouldn't say I'm looking forward to it, but at the same time, I'm quite intrigued, and I'm quite interested to know what to expect from it, and just hopefully it won't, have my ears bleeding. So yeah, thanks for the request. Let's hope that it goes well. And we'll be back with you guys in a second, having listened to the album, and we'll tell you all about it. Go. So we've now listened to the album, and I think it's fair to say we've survived it. We're still alive. So Brett, over to you. How did you find it?
Wow. So the band's called Epica, right? That's what they're called. Yeah, just to confirm.
Yeah, Epica.
Yeah, the only reason I'm saying that because to me the big word here is epic. This was an epic album. And I'm not trying to say epic in a good way. Just there was a lot going on. It was very full on. Every song felt like a whole massive production of stuff. I remember going with the comment we were saying, I totally get what you're saying. There's a lot to like from this album and the songs. So just to be clear, so obviously we've got this sort of rock elements. We do have the possessed voice, but we've also got the female singer and a lot of sort of good tunes to it as well. I think what's really good about it is that I'm going to use this phrase a lot to it, the possessed voice stuff, because I know you'll get what I mean. I don't know how else to really explain it. The plus side, that wasn't the main focus point of the album or the songs, which I kind of like. But yeah, every song, I felt like you need to have like a little time out, a little breather after each song, because I said they were just so grand. Was there variety in this album? It's a really hard one. I think initially I was thinking yes, but maybe in the grand scheme of things, probably not. There was one or two songs that were a little bit different from each other, but really, like I said, the word epic, like I said, it just had so much to it. And so a lot going on in terms of the production value. And I said a lot of elements I could take away and really enjoy. But I said there was also elements which I didn't enjoy so much. Hopefully, again, this will make sense as we go through each song and stuff. But this was an epic album to listen to in terms of what was going on with it there. I think I'll just start on those elements there, really.
Okay, so I'm going to just read what I've put. So I'm not going to kind of add anything to what you've just said, and we'll see if some of the stuff crosses over. So the first thing I've put here, very dramatic, which is basically what
That's a good word, yeah.
You were trying to say, yeah, sort of
epic, better words.
Very, very just dramatic, yeah, a lot going on. It felt very intense, didn't it?
Yeah.
That's the first thing that sort of took my attention. I didn't know this sort of metal existed, so I suppose you could say I was very naive to heavy metal. I mean, I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So if someone in the past asked me, do I like heavy metal? My face would be, no way. Do you know what I mean? It's like, not in a million years. It's like the worst possible music there could possibly be. Like just a loud noise, and what you call it, the mosh pitting and stuff. And however, this has like completely changed my the whole idea of what heavy metal is. I didn't realize there were separate subgenres. Obviously, we had the previous album, which was also was the word melodic, and
melodic, yeah.
This was as well, even probably further. So, yeah, this was a completely different side to metal that I didn't know existed, and much better than I could have ever expected. So I would describe this album as having kind of 3 singing parts to it. So you've got the man with the typical metal style singing, which you're calling a possessed voice. Then you've got this sort of pop music style singing from the woman, and then the third type is like a sort of, I don't know, I'm describing it as sort of like a choir background.
Yeah, there's a lot of choir singing in that, and that's why in terms of production, I think like how many people, and even the music itself, it was like almost like a whole orchestra being played. Like, and I think dramatic is a much better word to use. But yeah, those are definitely the 3 elements of that, and I think they're just those same 3 elements are just in these songs in just some sort of order. They appear in different ways, but otherwise, that's what the songs are like.
And I like what you said there about what you liked about the album is that possessed voice that wasn't the kind of at the forefront, which is exactly what I liked about it. Because if that had been more prominent, it would have made it very difficult to listen to, because I really don't like that sort of voice. So I'd say overall I was actually enjoying it to an extent, but I just felt the last few songs for me spoilt the album. But I get it. Like, it was the same with the previous album. That also kind of started off a bit slow, and it sort of cranked up and it got really loud towards the end, which kind of makes sense. You know, it is a metal album, and it was kind of the same with this. So that was a bit disappointing, but overall it was as good as could be, really, from a heavy metal album. So I was pleasantly surprised and impressed by it in general. But we'll talk about it now in more detail. So first one was Alpha, which I guess was just kind of like an introduction track. So Alpha Anteludium. So just a quite nice musical start. Sounds quite mystical and pleasant at the same time. Almost like going into an unknown world. And right at the end, there was a little bit of some kind of singing in the background going on. So not too much to say about this, but it's a nice kind of little introduction, I guess.
Yeah, very much so. So this first track, as you probably know, Lee, obviously then merges into the second track. So it's almost those first 2 tracks
we had that last time.
One track. Yeah. But as it's sort of the introduction thing, and really enjoyed this one. I put here, it had that sort of the like Brave from like the movie Braveheart. It has sort of the Gaelic Highlands kind of sort of sounds with it to there, and sort of felt like a bit like a movie, like an introduction to a movie, and something very epic or something grand was going to be happening. And then you then had the orchestra playing, and then the choir sort of singing. But as an opening introduction to the album and the track, really, really good. And like I said, it just sort of merges straight into track 2. Yeah,
which was Abyss of Time, Countdown to Singularity. So a continuation, but then it sort of got louder, like the metal has begun, with some very interesting singing from a woman who I'm describing her voice kind of being like, I couldn't really think of it, but I've described it as like sort of a voice from a children's film, or like a kind of animation film, you know, when, and like the soundtrack, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's very sort of maybe like sort of quite musical theatre based. She even then a bit later on some of the tracks, she does go quite almost, I don't know if it's her or someone else, but very operatic type of singing as well a bit later on. But it's just such a contrast to, again, what I'm calling the possessed voice kind of thing. So I've written here a bit like it sounds like the Beauty and the Beast kind of singing.
Yeah. That's a good description.
Sorry, go on, carry on.
So I put down, if this is what the whole album is going to be like, I'll be very happy. So pretty much like a pop song, really. Instrumental is very nice in parts and much better than what I expected. And very listenable. It's a good start.
Yeah, very much so. And like I said, it is nice that her singing is more prominent thing, whilst the possessed voice, the heavy metal bit is more of a smaller thing. I've written here that sort of epic feel to it. A midway point of that almost felt like it was again that sort of movie trailer, big movie sort of stuff coming through, and just felt so grand, just like boom, just such a powerful, dramatic over top there with the rock music coming into it as well. And then it sort of eased down a bit and then got rock again. But I think, yeah, merging those two songs together overall as a whole, bar the things that I didn't like too much of it, it was pretty good. Oh, another point that a lot of these lyrics, again, I haven't checked the possessed lyrics bit, but it was all in English as well, which, even though I didn't really pick up on what they were singing half the time, but the fact it was in English, that I wouldn't say made a difference. Because I said I didn't pick much up on that, but it was in English, so yeah.
Just on that note, on our last album, we listened to the last metal album, which was Insomnium, I think it was called. That was the name of the group. Someone left a comment on that video recently, saying it would have been a good idea to have looked at the lyrics at the same time as listening to it, and that kind of apparently that would have been good for beginners, beginners to heavy metal, that style of music.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe we could have done the same with this, because I think I couldn't understand the lyrics. I was so focused on the music and what to write and stuff. So yeah, I don't know what was being sung. Couldn't make it out. Wasn't really focusing on it, but
yeah, like I said, the music was just so overpowering, and I said you didn't really need to hear or listen to me. I feel you felt you got a lot from it just from the music itself. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I obviously did look at the lyrics when we did that other album as well. I didn't go much into it, but I remember saying how sort of poetic and once you've got hearing what they were singing about as well, I totally go the same with that one there. But yeah, it could potentially help this one. But I think at the point when the music was just so listenable, and I said it felt like a theatre production, a movie production. Even though I didn't know what to sing about, you could feel something from just purely from the music.
Okay. Next up, we had the skeleton key. So the nice woman's voice was still there, because I didn't know if that was going to be like a continuous theme. I found that the man's voice just ruins it, but fortunately the woman's voice is prominent. But yet again, sounds like a pop song to me, kind of, in a way. I say pop song, like a kind of what you hear on the radio, on like a general radio, like that
commercialized,
commercialized, that kind of feel. The background voices are effective. I just found it very impressive for a metal album, and I think it was an electric guitar piece that was playing as well, and just overall very good. I was really impressed with by the start here.
Yeah, echo everything you said there. I actually quite like this song. Put a little smiley face next to this one. We had a nice sort of piano introduction there, sort of ease you into it, and then the sort of whole epic rock and the choir singing. And yeah, possessed voice, Mel singing the worst parts of it. As we've saying, it's only such a small part that it doesn't take too much away from the rest of the song. Loved the tune, and the song just felt really powerful and stuff. And then you had this, as you said, the guitar solo, which again gives it that sort of epic feel to it. And yeah, a really good song.
So the next one is going to be Seal of Solomon. So we had the sort of choir effect voices. Happy the woman is still, there singing, but in this particular song, she seemed to be far less prominent. There's too much of the screaming man. But the main lyrics, I guess, on this song were mainly from the choir, which was okay. Not as good as the previous songs, but still more than listenable. And just nothing wrong with it, just not as good as the others.
Yes, exactly sort of what I put here as well. So I think the start this time we had what I put here, like a Middle Eastern, Far East, kind of like Indiana Jones kind of style to it. Again, it's got that sort of movie kind of feel to it. And as you said there, the female singer, I think her name's Simone, I think potentially. I don't know if I got that right. Not as much in this one, but the choir were more prominent in this one. And I think the choir effect with the orchestra is, again, just gets a real good feel to it there. Again, the male voice is the least part of it as well, but it appears a bit more in this one. But also found like just that everyone just seems to be trying too hard. Almost then like sort of the choir was trying to be more prominent than the male singer, and then the male was trying to, and it was just getting, and that's why I felt like you need a break after each one, because it just felt exhausted for them. But yeah, good, but just not as good as the other ones we've been listening to so far.
Next up was Gaia. So straight off with the fairy tale woman's voice, which was good. Background choir were dramatic as usual. The music almost feels like hard rock rather than metal at times, but now the horrible man's voice is spoiling a nice song. But overall, very respectable, very, listenable, respectable.
Yeah, so again, we've got that sort of rock feel to it. So this is when I started thinking about the band Evanescence. I was thinking, okay, well, I wonder what Evanescence comes. I had a quick look, and they come under more sort of rock, gothic rock rather than metal stuff. But I was sort of seeing a lot of similarities with that there, really. Again, we had a really big, epic guitar solo in this one. Yeah, it was an all right one. Again, they sort of had the sort of the theatre movie kind of thing, and then the sort of the last couple of minutes where the female singing, really, really good. Really enjoyed that sort of ending part towards the song.
Then we had Code of Life. Nice start. I was trying to kind of picture it. It was like in the Amazon rainforest type music, or then I was thinking maybe Africa, maybe India. Nice song, woman doing her bit again, very good, almost sort of very emotional sounding, and just another decent song.
Yeah, so again, I've got that sort of Indiana Jones. I've gone for like Middle East Arabic kind of sound, but I get African Amazon kind of feel to it. It slowly goes into, so this will have quite a long intro before we've gone to sort of the rock bits from there, and then the usual people there. We had female singing again. When she's singing, it's just so good. I really enjoy when she's in that bit there, and again, it's kind of got more sort of a rock feel rather than sort of the heavy metal feel to it. And I think at this point, this is where the sort of male singing actually doesn't come on till quite late on in the song. So I thought this could be one of my favorite ones because it actually doesn't appear into it. He does come on, but again, he's not in there for all that much. So like I said, overall the song's pretty good, and I feel bad keep saying that it's the worst part of it because who knows, probably that is what the main bits of it is. It's just not for me. Then maybe I could understand what he was singing, maybe it might have a bit of difference to it, but yeah, if it wasn't there, it'd be a fantastic song for me. So it's just an all right good song for me with it in.
Okay, next up was Freedom, the Wolves Within. So we began with the choir, I think, and then I found that this song, the woman's singing, sounded different. I'm guessing it's the same woman, more kind of not so fairy tale-ish, more not so not like in that side of kind of childish. Not I don't want to say childish. I mean like singing in like a children's theatre production. It seemed a bit more. I don't know. I just felt different. Sort of it was like a pop song with elements of light metal, more than listenable again. Instrumentals are fine, but yet again, the man spoils the song with his voice, which is just a pretty continuous trend.
Yeah. It is, and that's it. It's a real shame to say it on that one there. Yeah, so this was really rocky right from the start. So it wasn't like sort of a introduction bit from there, but with the choir, so you've got that sort of epic feel coming through to there. I think it happened on a previous song as well. So this one, and there's another song earlier, I can't remember which one, but you had your sort of your male singer and the female singer actually singing together at the same time, which has that contrast thing where normally is either just her and then just him, but this one they were sort of singing together at the same time, which gave it sort of a strange sort of twist to it there. Otherwise, all the same as pretty much said the others. This is the first time I think, as it was getting towards the end, I was finding it a bit repetitive. And this is why I wasn't sure, was there variety in it? Because it kind of felt like it was beyond saying, oh, yeah, this is really fun. But then I was thinking, actually, maybe there isn't, because it is the same three elements, your choir. Well, maybe you could say the fourth element, including the orchestra sounds. The orchestra, your choir, male singer, female singer, just at different parts and different orders. So variety, but in a not so different way.
So then we had Kingdom of Heaven Part 3, the Antediluvian Universe. Okay, so over 13 minutes long, I have to mention that. So a really kind of grand beginning, obviously it's a long track, so there's certainly enough time for them to have like a long instrumental introduction, which it kind of had. taking its time to get going, which obviously again makes sense because of the length of it. Huge focus on the instrumentals, some nice elements of the song. I appreciated it. You know, it was all right, but there are obvious parts that I don't like as much. So obviously the kind of louder parts, the metal, and that possessed voice. It was dragging on a bit because it was so long, and I just found overall there was too much metal in it, in parts. So yeah, it was all right, but not one of the better ones for me.
Yeah, what more different can I say to that, really? Also, obviously, so the male singing didn't come until 5 minutes into it. So I get what you're saying in terms of there was a lot of, but I think actually if you take the whole song in the length it was, it probably wasn't as much because again, the intro and the nice parts of it was quite a bit as well. But it almost felt like it was the sort of music you'd have before you're going into a battle. And I say it was just sort of building up, and you just knew at some point you were going to get your rock elements or your heavy metal bit, and your male singing. Just when was it going to happen? So you're sort of building yourself up for it. And once I knew I was doing that, I actually quite enjoyed it because I was treating it like almost like a movie within itself because it was that long. And I was thinking, okay, it doesn't feel as long as I thought it was going to be, but then it's pretty like when you do like a really long run. You think you're doing it well, and then suddenly it's only like the last mile or two. And so they feel like the longest parts, and that was literally like sort of the last 3 or so minutes of it. Really felt to sort of drag on. So I think maybe it could have been split into 2 separate different songs and done differently. But I get what they're trying to do and appreciate it. It's a good effort. Again, we had sort of the guitar solo bit as well. But yeah, I think maybe just a little bit too long, a bit too much going on for it.
Next up, we had Rivers. So the nice calm start. And I've sort of put down here like almost sort of like a classical ballad. Eventually some metal instrumentals come into play. That was towards the end. But overall, that was a really nice and calm song. And amazingly, without the man. No lyrics from, none of the possessed voice in there at all. So this was just a nice, we needed this sort of song because it was so intense, wasn't it, up until this point, and this kind of just calmed everything down, sort of nice and relaxing. So yeah, this is a really good track.
Yeah, I love this one. This is one that would go into my playlist purely because the male thing, it doesn't appear in it at all. I generally thought he was at some point, but yeah, it was a ballad is a good way of saying it. A really nice sort of ballad song to it, and just again shows how great her voice was and just really listenable, and still had obviously the rock elements to it, but again didn't feel as intense. So yeah, really enjoyed this one, and it felt like, yeah, as you said, probably did need it on the album just to have a little bit of a break from everything that's been going on. And as I said, yeah, if it's going to put on a playlist, this song would be the one.
Now, unfortunately for me, things started to go downhill from there. So next one was Synergized Manic Manifest, which was a complete opposite to the previous track, Rivers. So it was like very metally instrumental start and quite a manic song, as the name suggests. Very fast paced, more hardcore than the other songs, just too long and too loud for me. Probably the worst song on the album so far. The ending was nice and calm though. I think I heard the lyrics as well. Like it felt like sort of the sound was like as if we'd come out onto the other side, like we've got through the bad thing. And I actually heard the woman sing the lyrics, all worries gone. So whatever had been going on before, everything had now kind of, was all nice. But I really didn't like this one. This was where the album really started to sort of take off and become quite metally.
Yeah, again, it's quite a long song as well. Well, 7 minutes, not as long as some others, but in comparison to a lot of main songs, it was a long one there. And yeah, very well cool. But we should say, again, there's actually wasn't a lot of the male singer appearing in this one. Just had a lot of sort of the rock tune elements to it. And then she was singing really nice there. Again, another really good guitar solo bits to really keep things pumped up. But then the ending was just felt nice, relaxed. He had some like sort of pipes and the flute sort of playing, so really bringing it back down. And I think a good way of saying it, yeah, it's almost like you got through intense part, and it was just a chance to relax and chill down, really. So even though it wasn't prominent with the male singing, I said the rock elements were quite a lot on this one, quite intense, and then just a nice ending.
Twilight Reverie, the hypnagogic state. Really metally start. Quite a nice song though. I thought the choir was quite prominent in this one, and then wow, something different happened. I don't know if you heard. You must have heard it. There was like a kind of woman talking, but it only lasted for a few seconds. And then the horrible singing man came back. So again, this one wasn't for me. It was just too loud and too heavy metally for me, this one.
Yeah, again, we said there, the choir were very epic and were quite prominent in this one here. Again, I've put sort of a theatre musical sort of feeling to it, trying to tell a story. And this is another one where it felt more like opera. It was almost like she was singing, almost in an opera like style, which again I really liked, and shows how good her singing plays from there. Not as much sort of possessed voice so much towards the end, and yeah, you had this sort of female talking element to the song as well, which was something a little bit different from that as well.
And the last one then was Amiga, Sovereign of the Sun Spheres. Very intense, far too loud for me to enjoy, despite nice singing from the woman, but no longer that nice, sweet kids animation film style that I described earlier. Really not enjoying this song and the previous few songs. A shame, because the album was surprisingly good for the most part. It was just those last 3 tracks for me kind of put a real downer on it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I get that. Like I said, each song is so intense. Like I said, you really felt like I felt like you could have to stop, little breather before listening on to next. Or like I said, you could just listen to one track and that'd be enough to satisfy listening to a whole album. So I totally get it when you get to the end of it, where okay, might feel a bit repetitive and so much, especially where we're doing, where we're sort of listening to it, trying to be critical, listen to it, review it. So,
but I don't think it was just that. Like, it may have been, but I just get the feeling that those last 3 tracks were a little even more intense than the others. Maybe they weren't, mate, but I don't know. They sounded more heavy metally than the others. If you see what I mean? Just louder, faster, and so that's kind of what I'm trying to say. It wasn't just that they were just. It was repetitive. I just felt those 3 songs were worse than most of the others.
Yeah, I think maybe I need to sort of listen again, and without having to maybe to hear it a bit more there. Because again, it's so different to see what I've put here sort of the Evanescence band kind of feel to it. It still has a sort of rock element to it here. The other point put here, it almost felt like it had like a hero story, like hero's trying to fight his way through the battle and come out at the end, find through everything that he's been through from there. And just have very much sort of the same as a lot of the other songs on the album as well. But I totally get what you're saying as well. So maybe if I listen to it again, without having to try and concentrate what I'm trying to put notes down, maybe I'll be able to see if actually, yeah, these ones did feel a lot more rockier than some of the other ones.
Yeah. So if we're summing up, I'd say overall I've got a really good impression from this album, and it's kind of completely changed my view on heavy metal music. Like if someone asked me now, what sort of music do I like? I'm not going to say, oh, I like heavy metal. But if someone says, oh, what about heavy metal? I'll be like, well, some elements of it are all right. Like what's it called? What's it called? What's the genre?
Symphonic.
Subgenre symphonic. I'm like, well, what's it called again?
Is that right? No.
Symphonic.
No, that's not right.
Is it?
Metallic and we'll check that. But yeah,
I'll say, well, certain elements of heavy metal, I don't mind. I wouldn't say I like it, but it's really not that bad. Like I used to kind of stigmatize. I guess that's a good word to use. I stigmatize heavy metal, so it's just some kind of people that just wear black clothes and men with long hair, and I don't know, like I just give it this kind of, it's just a bad sort of image in my head, whereas I don't really think is the case now. You know, I think I can appreciate it to some extent, although I would say the bits that I prefer are the kind of bits that aren't really the metal part. Do you know what I mean? So that's the only thing, right? But I really appreciate this request, because I think this is probably better than the previous metal album we listened to, even though they're kind of on the same sort of wavelength, the same sort of thing. I think this was a little bit better. And as I say, it's changed my perception of heavy metal music. At least this subgenre has anyway. So yeah, not bad at all. What about you, Brett?
Yeah, echo obviously everything that you've pretty much said there as well. I think for me, bringing it back to the album, would it be an album I want to listen to all the way through? Probably not. I said it felt a bit too much, but definitely if I took, you know, those 3 or 4 songs I really liked from it, decide and was listening to those, yeah, would enjoy them very, very much so. In terms of this as an album, maybe takes a step too far for me there. And yeah, I was just going to say the same point you were making about that you like this subgenre of heavy metal, but you could argue and go, well, actually, the heavy metal part of it is probably not the bit that you enjoy there, but it still classes a form of heavy metal. So whether that's that bit you don't enjoy as much, it still fits in. It's still part of that genre of music. So yeah, so for me, individual songs, listen to them individually, absolutely great. But try to do sort of the full album at times. I think I've just got to be right ready, in the right frame of mind and mood for it.
I want to ask you, were you as naive as I was regarding heavy metal? Did you know about this sort of side to heavy metal?
No, I don't think I knew enough of these sort of subgenres of heavy metal, especially I knew there were different subgenres, but not in this sense where it's almost like not pop music, but, you know, sort of this type of other type of music, we listen to it, and with heavy metal, these are 2 totally different contrasts together. I know there's been times where it's been sort of not classical music, but like nice sounding music, which then goes into the sort of real heavy metal bits there. But I didn't really think it was much of a subgenre. So this element, definitely not. And yeah, I like you, it's opened my eyes and ears a little bit to know and understand this parts as well, really.
Okay. So before we go, we're going to be having a 100 subscriber Q&A session. At the time of recording this, we currently have 70 subscribers. Hopefully it's more when you're watching this. So if you have a question for us about anything, just leave it in the comment section below. And of course, if you want to request a video, an album for us to watch, could be any genre of music, any language, whatever, could be anything, as long as we can access it, like on Spotify or YouTube, whatever, we will listen to it. So guys, let us know, and we look forward to seeing you for the next one. Goodbye.